The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to DurianASEAN. You are at Durian Heat with Grace.
Hi, this is Gowri.
So today we'll be talking about social media and how social media has been changing ASEAN, and we're focusing on the ASEAN, all those 10 member states here. So what is social media to you, Gowri?
Well, social media is any channel online that you use to connect with your friends or family, and also getting your messages across. And this is all done online and not face to face.
Well, that's correct. And because of that, a lot of social media channels have been created, and the most famous that people cannot ignore is Facebook. And with all that, with the development of the internet and the online services, it has been so active, and it's very famous among younger generation as well as for business purposes as well. And this also gives a lot of benefits to economic growth around the Southeast Asia. So there are a few remarkable growth of the social networking in the Southeast Asia, and one of them, like I mentioned, is Facebook. So Facebook has gained a lot of popularity among users in ASEAN, and around 63% of all this social networking bandwidth found to be Facebook related. And all those apps and the posting consumes around 5% of 7% of social networking, and also the report provides that global view into enterprise application usage by summarizing an actual sample size around over 1,000 organizations conducted. And the data which is collected in the Facebook is just very amazing, because a lot of people use Facebook for different reasons, for business, for just to keep their own friendship or networking, even to promote their own particular products or things like that.
And also when it comes to social media, one thing we cannot deny it's really changing the world and how things are done. You were talking about how people use different social media for different purposes, and of course we have so many things like Facebook kind of revolutionized the whole way that we get in touch with friends, about with the messaging, posting on walls, liking statuses, and it also sort of contributed to the whole selfie phenomenon, which is just unstoppable right now. And also in terms of businesses, fan pages, a lot of things are being done through Facebook. And we also have Twitter, where where it's more like a status update, and it's very easy. A lot of celebrities have turned to Twitter because it's safe to use. Nobody can message you. It all works on mention, and because of that, it's very simple for anybody to use it.
Actually, I never knew that Twitter is one of the safest way to do social networking.
Right, that's right. That's why a lot of celebrities turn to it, because I can probably mention you in a tweet, but you don't even have to be following me. You will not get any of my updates or any of the spam, and I cannot message you if you're not following me. So I can follow everything that you're doing, which is what the fans would want. They want all their updates from their favorite celebrities. And hey, if I'm lucky, somebody famous might see my tweet one day. And of course, we also have another thing I want to talk about is LinkedIn. How people it's a kind of a new way to exchange business cards.
Yes.
Of course, people still do exchange name cards and all, but LinkedIn is also sort of like your online resume that people use LinkedIn to look for jobs, or even to connect with other people in the similar industry. So these are some of the few social media that has revolutionized the conventional way of doing things.
And then one of social medias that just recently Southeast Asia love to use is Instagram. And Instagram is very interesting. It focuses on the pictures, and Thailand happens to be the number one checked in place on the Instagram, and it's not Malaysia anymore.
Wow.
Because when it comes to Facebook usage, Malaysia is the number one ranked in the usage of Facebook. So basically on the Instagram, the photos are shared, and then people can they can go to their own journey via Instagram. So it's like another trend. Other than the Facebook, when you wake up in the morning, you will go to the Instagram and then check the photos from your friends or even celebrities.
That's right. It's become like an automatic thing, an autopilot thing when you wake up in the morning. Probably after turning off your alarm, the next thing you do is you check on Facebook, check on Twitter, check on Instagram, as if it's like your morning paper.
Yes.
Before you even brush your teeth, maybe. And that's, of course, is kind of crazy if you think about it, how it has changed. And also there's been a lot of studies about what happens to your brain when you go to sleep. Before you go to sleep, if you actually look at your phone, what the brightness and the colors actually stimulates your brain and keep you awake even more, as opposed to putting you to sleep. And there are a lot of these how do I call it, idiosyncrasies when it comes to the use of social media, all the benefits that come with it, and also some disadvantages along with it. But we cannot deny that social media does actually play a very important part in the era now as well, because everything is back to technology. Everything goes back to how fast your internet is, or can you get Wi-Fi, or do you have Facebook, or if you say no, people start rolling their eyes at you. How can you not have Facebook? And even a lot of companies using social media to leverage their businesses, and also creating new job opportunities, because you have like social media executive now, which no one would have heard of like 10 years ago.
Yes, so more job opportunities from social media innovation, I would say. But at the same time, you just shortly mentioned about the disadvantage or the harmful effect of social media will be a lot of people also do say that there is no human touch anymore when it comes to social media, and that people, when it comes to communication wise, people seem to be more confident online rather than communicating face to face, and people will have sort of different personality when it comes to online networking, but when it comes to face to face communication, so that's also a different part. Anyway, it's one of the examples is the easiest example is when you go out, meet your friends. When something disturbs you, you just look at the phone, and then you will just focus on the phone. So that sort of cuts off the communication between your friends. And that's also another sort of negative side effect. And the other one is sleeping pattern will also change. Your lifestyle will change. So a lot of things have changed because of social media. And then there are also a lot of trends, but also there are successful stories that the social media have created to public and also to the society.
I'm glad you mentioned that up, because I also have a statistic here that looks at a few countries like Philippines, Vietnam, Pakistan, Indonesia, India, and Bangladesh. And when they were all asked, what is your main reason for using social media, they actually said, talk to friends or family, which is very shocking. I don't think that's very good news. And there are other options as well, like learn about new products, music, movies, play games, learn about upcoming events. But the top reason here is to talk to friends or family, which you were just saying that it changed the way that we communicate. Or, even when people go out these days for family dinner or any outing, everyone's just on their phone. And that defeats the whole purpose of being with your family in the first place, when everyone is still glued to the phone, especially the younger generation these days.
But let's come back to our topic where we talked about the Southeast Asia, where still the internet penetration is still poor compared to other developed countries. But yet the number of usage in social media is dramatically increasing, and it is really surprising and also at the same time amazing how people get the gadgets so up to date. Like for example, iPhones, all those devices, laptops, starting from iPad, all these gadgets. No matter how poor the connection is, they will still get the latest version to be able to have the better apps and updates to keep up with all the social media trends.
That's right, because when it comes to the gadgets like tablets or smartphones, that is one of the key medium to access to all this social media, and of course all the telecommunication companies are also making a ton of money through that. And it's very interesting if you look at it, because sometimes they complain that, I can't get a job, or I don't have enough money, or my boss is not paying me well. But you were saying, they somehow always find a way to get the latest, most advanced gadget, just so they can keep up with the changing times, and also with all the existing social media, and also more and more different apps are being developed and introduced into the market every year. And it seems that it's so important for people to keep up with this change, and to also keep themselves up to date with all the latest apps that's out there.
So it is apparently a thing when it comes to social media, especially among younger generation, how they have immersed themselves to this culture that it's been created for the past few years. So we'll take a short break here, and then when we return, perhaps we'll talk about more about social media success stories in ASEAN region, as well as how social media has been engaging all the citizens in Southeast Asia.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Oh, welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You are still at Durian Heat with Grace.
And this is Gowri.
And yes.
We're discussing about how social media has been changing ASEAN in general. And we're also going to talk about how it's being used in terms of ASEAN context.
Yes, and in fact, where there were many incidents and happenings in Southeast Asia, and because of social media, there are a few successful stories that has been helping a lot of people and also community and public as well. So one of them is strand during tragedy. So for example, when Typhoon Haiyan struck the Philippines, the thousands lost their lives and millions of people were affected. But because of social media, a lot of noise and miscommunication started spreading, but then it turned around for the better. Digital humanitarian so-called started the crowdsourcing by sourcing the disaster areas with GPS info to date aid groups and saving hundreds of hours in work for them.
Actually, this is one of the most probably the best thing about social media is that whenever something happens, there's always a huge outcry on social media. And of course, in this case, we're talking about tragedy. Yeah. And it's not just the Typhoon Haiyan in Philippines, also with the earthquake that happened in Nepal. People are very quick to react. Even when the floods happened in Malaysia last year, people immediately came together, started forming different groups, trying to recruit people to see how they can help, what they can do, what can they donate, who's going there, who's staying here, who's updating the information. And that is something, of course, can be done through Facebook or Twitter, and that's something that has developed over the years, and it's actually proving to be a success. That most of the time, especially what will happen in Malaysia, last year there were a lot of criticism that a lot of independent groups got there first before the government even did anything about it.
Yes, and it's all because of how social media created platform to be able to deliver all this immediate news to people, and people just instantly get news and to be able to update themselves regarding the especially natural disaster and all those events have been happen. And the second part is when you think about the campaigns. For example, AirAsia is also from Malaysia and Indonesia, Jetstar and Tiger, which also is from Singapore. When it comes to all this Southeast Asia airlines promotions on social media, people will know. People will update themselves via Facebook, Twitter, and even Instagram. they have already the marketing strategies there to be able to keep their clients updated.
And of course, some of the ways they do it is by making, for example, a viral video that's being shared by thousands or maybe even millions of people. And also when it comes to Twitter, they often use the hashtag and get it trending worldwide. So people will start looking into it and they want to find out what is this whole thing about. And it's not just about big companies like AirAsia or other airlines. Even if you look at in terms of campaigns, where Dove had a campaign about beauty, how to look at a beauty from a different perspective. Sometimes they have a campaign about whether it's confidence or a certain racial stereotype or about gender equality. All these different campaigns are always done either through images or videos on social media, and it goes viral and definitely increases the awareness among people.
Yes. And then next point about the successful stories in ASEAN is opening up new destinations. So one of the countries from ASEAN, we can pick Myanmar, as it already has begun to opening up to the world after its government system that was really closed for decades. But now it has opened up for inviting more investors from other countries, and also to enhance the curiosity and from journalists and the tourist part as well. So use of this social media, especially at the recent Myanmar ASEAN Games, it helped introduce the country and also brand Burma to a public that had previously only sort of related to the country with Aung San Suu Kyi and also violent protests.
And that's another thing when it comes to certain countries, we always have a certain perception about the country itself. And people, for example, people from the US or Europe may not have that much of an idea about Malaysia or Singapore or even Thailand. Like for example, if you look at Vietnam, a lot of my friends in Europe or America think that the capital is Saigon, which is not. But this is the perception because of movies, because of musical theater. They have shaped their thinking that way, and because of social media, you see people arguing, about football, about soccer, about which is the capital, which country, and that actually opens up a new discussion, and people become more aware of all the things that they didn't know before, especially when it comes to countries that are miles, millions of kilometers away.
Yeah, so we talked about the sports already here. So Southeast Asian countries, when it comes to global sports, the first thing came in my mind was the World Cup, and the next one was the boxing match that recently held. That if without social media, we won't be able to keep up ourselves updated with all this news. And this doesn't mean that we're not we're not interested. Perhaps we didn't have enough sources or information that we could get from before. But because of social media, even if we may have a shallow knowledge in certain sports or areas, but we still keep ourselves updated and informed about it.
And yes, you're absolutely right about that. If you think about it, 5 years ago, probably none of us ever saw a boxing match because it wasn't as hyped up as it was this time around, and which is why a lot of people got into it, a lot of people tweeting about it, Facebooking about it, and it's probably the first time most of those people were even watching football. And you were also saying about how all these news are being hyped up, and back then it was probably not as readily available, probably not very accessible. Of course, people still read the papers and all, but not a lot of people were into reading, and probably takes a lot of effort for some people to get out there and to buy the newspaper, to spend some money. But today you can just turn on your tablet or your phone or your computer and just go to one of the millions of news websites around the world, and you're readily accessible to all the different information that's available. And even when it comes to the World Cup, you mentioned that. The same thing about the boxing match, like we were saying. It gets so hyped up, and all different people are posting different opinions, and people sort of just jump into the bandwagon, and it helps them to also be a part of it.
And it was very surprising to read all those comments for those who weren't supporting boxing before, just because Pac-Man was from the Philippines, and all the Southeast Asians, they were merely just supporting him because he's from Southeast Asia region, and the spirit was there, the energy was there on the social media.
And you're right. It was a good thing actually, where a lot of people came together and called him the ASEAN Pride,
Exactly.
and they actually resorted to supporting someone in the region itself as opposed to supporting someone from the West, which I would say is quite new for people here.
For sure. And then the last successful story that we cannot deny is the new news. The media freedom in the region has sort of the history. ASEAN countries, some of them is still dominated by the government, leading to sort of biased reporting on the range of political issues. Not only political, but also just the small social cultural issues as well. But then, because of social media, especially Twitter, it has sort of highlighted more social activism and also change by the allowing a lot of access to domestic and international news stories that may not have been update all those people before, but now they have started. And also social media has helped to create more than a few new agency, like all those online news agencies such as Malaysian Insider, Malaysian Kini, and also even the Jakarta Globe.
And another aspect here I would like to bring up is also the civil societies,
Right.
because like you were just saying, people have more easy access to news, and the thing about news back then is it was very controlled. Like if I were to buy this newspaper, I only read it from a certain perspective. Or if I want a different perspective, I probably have to buy another newspaper, or probably the contents are controlled by the government or whoever it is that owns the media.
Yep.
But now it's so easy for people to gain access to information, especially it's become so much about transparency now and credibility, because people have realized that they have the right to know what's really happening, and it's so easy for them to know because somebody just has to post it on Facebook, on Twitter, and it goes viral, and suddenly the whole country knows about it, which
Yes.
probably doesn't happen that much back then. And also especially about very controversial issues like the Rohingya, or like the treatment of migrant workers, and all these things that we don't usually talk about in mainstream media. It's becoming more and more acceptable for people to discuss about it, merely because everyone is posting about it and talking about it. So it becomes it's become so normal now to discuss all these controversial issues on social media.
So when it comes to awareness of ASEAN as well, in Malaysia it was ranked one of the lowest ASEAN awareness in the ASEAN region. However, I believe that it's increasing slowly and steadily because of social media as well, with all those social cultural matters that are covered, and then with the bringing of Go ASEAN channel as well, a lot of people the curiosity is created among people, so people want to know about what ASEAN is all about. So that's also benefit that after social media is created. So not only creating other news agencies, but also it gives benefits to ASEAN as a whole single market.
And I think it definitely opens up more for business opportunities as well with the use of social media. It's so easy for people to reach out, or even to do like a test before they actually go ahead with their product, trying to market it. It's easy for them to reach out to the people and get different opinions, and also for potential investors to see how well this product can fare in the market.
And then, in fact, in the ASEAN region alone, there are millions of people. They're using Twitters, Facebook, and also Instagram. And we have created new vocabulary, which is like, I'm tweeting, I'm Facebooking, I'm Instagramming. So this kind of new vocabulary in regards of social networking will reach to a point of state where it gets the sort of difficult to filter through unwanted stuff as well. So we have a lot of cases in Malaysia where we had cases that people want to express themselves, but because of certain laws such as Sedition Act, that people were arrested as well. And not only in Malaysia, in Singapore, and also a few other parts in Southeast Asia.
And that's another important point that you brought up there when it comes to the regulations of social media, which also had to be amended because, of course, when it first started out with Friendster or MySpace, it wasn't as widely used as it's being used now, especially in terms of expressing your opinion on social media where the whole world could possibly see it. And because of that, a lot of new regulations has been set up, especially in Malaysia, where it's getting stricter by the day, and there's a lot of monitoring happening, especially on Twitter, because it seems like it's the easiest way to get the news around. And apart from that, of course, we also have hateful speech and comments being made, and in order to curb all that, and it seems that it's become necessary to actually control what can be and cannot be shared on social media. But of course, at the end of the day, it's still a free site, and you can post whatever you like.
For example, the child pornography, the recent incident that happened, and with that, a lot of mixed feedbacks are also coming up on social media. And in fact, that news went really viral on Facebook especially, and also I believe on Twitter as well. So we just interviewed one of the professors regarding this child pornography, and that the best way is to educate all this public appropriate manner via social media. I mean, we have institutions in each country. However, it is also important to educate, and then the government needs to also come up with the right policy on social media, what to filter, what to not to filter, and at the same still provide the platform for people to express themselves freely.
And yes, without social media, probably that news would have just been in the conventional papers, and those who read about it and probably get the word across. But because of social media, I think there were also a few interviews with the head of police, and he said that pedophilia is quite new in this country, which may not be true, but it's great that it's getting attention now, because there's always a lot of problems that we tend to just ignore because we think it doesn't exist. But it could also be due to the reason that we just don't know about it. And because of social media, a lot of this news or issues or terms that's not been popular before is coming to attention, and more people are aware about it, which is definitely a good thing, because then you can start educating people from there.
Right. So we'll talk about more about social media apart from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Perhaps we'll go to the different types of social media to talk about in ASEAN.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You are at Durian Heat, and today we talked about all aspects of social media in ASEAN region, and we still have more things to share here.
Actually, too many things to share, but we're kind of running out of time.
Exactly. So I'm going to give you a few examples, because when it comes to ASEAN regions, users vary a lot between countries, like as internet penetration differs in certain countries. For example, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar is also growing up. It's also different from all those growing countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and very developed countries or advanced in a few like Singapore and Brunei. So, few examples would be, even though the Facebook dominates all the Southeast Asia countries at the moment, its access is sometimes sort of blocked in Vietnam. And the people who use social network tend to be younger than the global average. And as well as Twitter and Google Plus tend to be the most used network after Facebook. But we talked about Vietnam, but again in Vietnam, that country, historically strong Zing is still important. And then casual block access to Facebook also makes people adapt to the special practices and attracts more people to link in. And we talk about the Philippines. Filipinos tend to use social network with a little more activities towards the entertainment, such as games and tabloid news, with a somehow smaller penetrations than Indonesia or Vietnam. And Bangkok, Thailand, is one of the world's most connected city to Facebook and Instagram, and Thailand in general has a strong social networking penetration. And the use of chat application, one of the famous one is Line, is relatively strong in all ASEAN countries compared to Europe or even American ones.
Well, I just want to add on to because you mentioned a lot about how it's blocked in certain countries,
Yes.
how it's restricted and all,
Right.
and I just want to give a few key questions on why it's usually blocked or restricted.
Alright.
And because we were also saying earlier how information gets shared and spread so easily, it goes viral so easily these days, whether it's on Facebook or on Twitter or even on Instagram.
Yes.
And some of the questions here is that how and what exactly should we post on social networks? And another issue here is when you're at work, and why a lot of employers are concerned about their employees using Facebook is because what kind of information did they share about the company? Because they could just think that I'm posting something innocent or something general about the company, but that information could actually be confidential and not meant to be shared.
Oh, right.
And for other people to know about it. And apart from that, when it comes to social media conversations, the government as well, they are the most particular ones when it comes to what kind of information do people share, what do people talk about, is there any hate speech going on, any incitement of hatred, of violence among the people.
Or even censorship.
That's right.
Yeah.
Certain images.
Yes.
And another thing is when personal connection is allowed by social media tools to cross the line from business to personal.
Right.
And all these different questions bring in the fact that it probably there should be a certain regulation controlling all the social media, or especially in terms of employers and employees, and also the government and the people. Of course, people are free to share whatever they like, but at the same time, when we share certain things, of course, we don't mean any harm, but that could always, it's open to interpretation. People can take it differently, and that could lead to some unwanted events or incidents. And also, like I was saying about the employer-employee, where they could just some employees even would say things like, I hate my boss, or I hate my job, and the next day they get fired. Well, because it's become such a second nature for us to just pick up the phone and update whatever it is that we are feeling,
Right.
that we often neglect, or we don't think about the consequences of our actions.
Yes, so that's a sort of a whole general behavior and also actions that have been created after social media just kicked into our society and culture. And in fact, talking about culture, social media is part of our lives already, and especially in Southeast Asia, people are just absorbed to all the social media activities as well. For example, let's say you're attending this festival in Southeast Asia. A lot of people know that you're attending that event already, and that's also gives a lot of positive effect in terms of promotional purposes. So likewise, we have a lot of benefits. Also, we have also touched on the negative effect of social media. But when it comes to ASEAN as a whole, Southeast Asia a standard, what can ASEAN do to make all the social media improve better? Because we do know that not internet access is available in Southeast Asia. There are still undeveloped countries that needs to be improved in terms of infrastructure and internet penetration. So all those developed countries such as Singapore especially, they will just be advanced for longer time. But however, how about the ASEAN come to a sort of a resolution where they can also look into the poorer countries to help them to to make them together, because after all, ASEAN, we are heading to single-based market economical state. So to be able to do that, everyone needs to be connected, and one of them is via social media.
And I think connectivity is also one of the important element of the ASEAN integration this year, where they are trying to make it easier for people to connect to each other. And of course, not just physically, not just in terms of traveling to different countries, but also more accessible to people or businesses in the region. And that's where also the fact about the ASEAN awareness comes in. About AEC, we always talk about how the awareness is still not at a very satisfactory level. So perhaps they can also use social media in the sense to make the interaction more appealing to younger people. We have a lot of sites these days like 9gag or like BuzzFeed and
Yes.
all that is very popular among the younger people, and they share very serious information in a very fun way, where it's still informative and people still learn about it.
Very entertaining.
And that's something that ASEAN can also look at in order to maximize its efforts on awareness, and for people to know that what are the benefits of the ASEAN integration.
So with that, that's it for our topic with the Durian Heat today. So we mentioned shortly at ASEAN Daily, look for us via social media.
That's right. We're all over the place as well.
Yeah, and we are online radio station, so hopefully we be able to penetrate all the other regions in Southeast Asia. So we do have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. So look for us at DurianASEAN.com.